Hey Taurus, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot. Welcome to your cards for December. I can't believe I am already doing cards for December. It's crazy how slow and how fast 2020 really went. So December is a pretty intense time with the eclipses, although things start to move in December. We start to actually kind of morph into a different element. Now we're going from 200 years in an earth element cycle, which was probably comfortable for you, Taurus. And now we're moving into the age of Aquarius. So it means that things become much more cerebral. There's different themes going on as far as progression in society, progression with our belongings, and you hosting Uranus in your sign and now having to go through a rather large transit this month with the eclipses in your 2nd and 8th house probably means that a lot of really solid foundations in your life are rapidly changing and transforming. That could be difficult in a fixed energy. And December kind of kicks this theme off, and all of 2021 might kind of kick your ass in a few different ways. Not to say it's all going to be bad. In fact, I think a lot of 2021 will be a welcome change to the slowness, the concrete, heavy, dense energy that we've felt all through 2020. 2021 is going to feel a little bit like we're getting out of jail, at least for a minute, and it could be crazy, and there's going to be a lot of changes. So I think December kind of puts you in a position to brace you for those changes. I think the universe is kind of making sure that you are going to be ready to keep up. Now as well, we still have Mars going, at least now direct, but not really making a whole lot of progress in your 12th house. And that I've talked about the last month or so is a pretty difficult psychological process for you. A lot of things coming from the subconscious. It could be actually having to deal with people from the past. You could be meeting new people where things feel very karmic, very familiar, like they've known them, like you've known them from other lifetimes. It could be a real emphasis on your past in general. The 12th house can also be a house where you kind of have to face your own undoing, how you kind of sabotage yourself. We all do that. But there's an emphasis on that being some of the blocks that you kind of have to remove, and that the eclipse will remove for you in December. Now, you are coming out as a Page of Wands, and I like this energy because it's not heavy, it's not dense, it's movable, it's mutable, it's courageous. However, there's a newness about it, and maybe even a little bit of immaturity, kind of a devil-may-care attitude, meaning there's probably not a real emphasis on consequences right now. Eclipses kind of make us feel like we're out of control. It could take things away and force us to have to start over in other areas of our life. It also gives us the ability to explore. When things are removed, we make space, and then we wait for the universe to bring in the items that are going to fill that space. Relationships, jobs, projects, whatever it is. When the Page of Wands is curiously looking for something to kind of spark an interest. Page of Wands is kind of the invite. And I feel as though there is an invitation for sure this month, but yet your environment is that of the strength. Now, you might be in some kind of a leadership role. You might be in a relationship. I'm not sure why in particular I'm picking up intuitively the feeling like people are really relying on you. People are counting on you. They're counting on your strength, your integrity, your willpower. And you might be in situations that make you feel as though you kind of have to do the right thing. Kind of make the higher choices, what's better in the long run. Strength means that we have the ability to not fall for those more egotistical kind of instant gratification opportunities. You know, it can just be an element of holding back, investing, saving the money for a rainy day or planning for that big thing. And maybe that big thing is a home. Under overall energy is the Knight of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. And I'm wondering, because there's the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction moving forward in your 10th house mid-month in the middle of eclipse season, there could be a move. There could be a change of residence, a change of home, a change of career. There's a lot of stuff on the docket that can be changed and transformed rather quickly. Now, the Knight of Pentacles is an indication that there is a lot of thought, a lot of consideration going into this particular situation or commitment or change of some sort. And it does feel celebratory. The Four of Wands is often an indication of pre-engagement or just social gatherings, the ability to celebrate with people, but it's definitely an energy of celebrating nonetheless, meaning good things are happening and they're coming to you because of that Knight of Pentacles energy, the ability to focus, kind of keep your nose to the grindstone, do the hard work, not expect things to happen overnight. But you do see the duality between the Page of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles. The Page is very childish compared to this Knight of Pentacles. It's a very childish and immature energy. And sometimes it could also indicate somebody being a little bit selfish. Now, sometimes with that Aries in your 12th house, that could kind of kick in the sense of, it's almost like a survival instinct of going back to what your needs are, what you need. And if that is in any way negative or toxic, these eclipses are going to kind of point out the things that need to really be changed within your behavior, within your habits, within your attitude towards yourself. Now, the first line here is pretty profound and an interesting energy here. Because we have the Death card, the Seven of Wands, and the Four of Pentacles in reverse. Now, the Death card is the card of transformation. It is a card of Scorpio. It is a card of the sign that Venus is in now, Venus being your ruling planet, and she's taking a trip through your 7th house of partnerships and commitment. And seeing that Four of Wands on the table and putting these pieces together, I would say there's probably a significant relationship on the line for you, Taurus, maybe a significant change in your life, an upgrade, an ascension of some sort. And I'm not so sure with that Seven of Wands next to the Death card that you are fully allowing this transformation to occur. Now, this feels like fixed energy resistance to me, but the card of Scorpio, the Death card, especially during an eclipse season, is really no match for that Seven of Wands. So this coming up right above what I believe to be the most profound card in the reading center of your deck is a Two of Pentacles in reverse. Here's the thing. There's a thing, a situation, a relationship, but it is a pattern within you that's happening, and it's happening over and over again. Now, maybe this is a relationship pattern that you've had with several different people. Maybe it's the same person and you keep running into the same issues, not really solving anything. Maybe this has been very back and forth, in and out, up and down kind of energy. We get to a point after a while, especially in this Aries energy in your 12th house, and I just feel like it's the inability to do it anymore like this. You know, the Two of Pentacles upright can oftentimes represent a choice that is very long-lasting and eternal, as we see with the Pentacles there. It's kind of making the eternity symbol. And I'm not sure that you're going to have the ability to fight off whatever it is that's destined to happen for you now. See, this Seven of Wands and this Four of Pentacles in reverse. Seven of Wands in between these pretty powerful cards here means you might put up some resistance. There might be a few bumps in the road. You might not like a few of the things that you have to do. Might not feel warm and fuzzy or instantly gratifying in any way. It might actually feel somewhat mundane and monogamous and boring and steady, and yet there's a respect that builds within it. And maybe this is an energy creeping up within you, Taurus, that says, I really want to make this work. I really want to allow this change to kind of happen. I'm ready for my life to move in another direction. Now, that doesn't mean that you want it to happen tomorrow. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're going to throw caution to the wind. Page of Wands. I think this is more of just a recognition of knowing what you've got to do. Now, knowing what you have to do is only part of the problem. And this is where I think the month kind of gets a little bit complicated. I think the beginning of the month is kind of representative of that first line of kind of allowing yourself, even though you feel the resistance, you start to really dig yourself in and start to do the right things. The Four of Pentacles in reverse says that you're letting go to any of your psychological hang-ups, your resistance to sharing resources. You know, if you have a partner and you're talking about moving in together, you may start to kind of participate more in the conversations. You might start to put your own 2 cents in. It's almost as if you start to cooperate and open up, like you're warming up to the idea. Now, the middle of the month comes, the eclipses, a 10th house conjunction, meaning there's an emphasis. What do you want for the rest of your life? And here is where I feel the pressure starts to apply itself. What do you want for the rest of your life, Taurus? How do you want it to go? Is it all about doing the right thing? Is it all about fulfilling the roles that other people have for you. Because a death card, especially over a Queen of Cups, can feel a little manipulative. And I'm just wondering if this Queen of Cups isn't somebody who's in some way, shape, or form using pity or shame or guilt to kind of force you to make a decision or change your life in some way. I'm not sure why I'm picking up on this energy with this Queen of Cups in reverse, but she's kind of annoying me. She's kind of making me feel like, I don't really want to do this. I don't want to make this investment. And it's almost as if heart isn't in it. Almost as if maybe things look good on paper and yet it's not really a true connection for you. Now, Taurus, this could also represent you being this Queen of Cups in reverse as maybe not taking care of yourself so much. And so with that, I have to say, if you're getting really burnt out on the job, or if you feel like your December just seems to be a month where you're kind of having to do so much for other people, because the Queen of Cups is that energy of filling other people's cups, affecting, bringing beauty and joy and love and nurturing to others. And when she's in reverse, it usually means she is exhausted and worn out and has nothing left to give. And the Death card is going to force any ability that you have to kind of give from the empty cup, kind of push yourself. I just don't think that you're going to be able to do that in November. And I also don't think that you're going to have to or be able to pretend or work your way through relationships or situations that don't really speak to you and connect to you in a heart place. Now, it's funny because the Center card all being reversed is an indication that things are kind of out of balance in December here. It's for sure an indication that there are probably things that aren't being addressed. There's probably truths that aren't being spoken, and eventually those things have to come to the surface. Queen of Cups, Two of Pentacles in reverse, and the Sun card in reverse. The Sun card in reverse comes directly underneath that Four of Pentacles in reverse, saying that your intention is to begin sharing your resources. Maybe you have to make an investment or do something or buy or sell a home or do some kind of a financial move or commitment. There might be a part of you that knows that somehow, some way you feel like you need to do this thing. And yet deep down inside, Sun in reverse is not what you truly want or desire at all. And in fact, when I see the Sun card in reverse, it could show an element of depression, of oppression, of not being able to be yourself. Maybe if this is a move you are planning to make, it is maybe to a location you're not too crazy about, or to a house. Maybe it's just a situation you're not really sure that you truly desire. And I think these three cards together are pretty indicative that something has to give. If you're forcing yourself to participate in a relationship or just keep things going when there isn't love and there isn't happiness. And the Two of Pentacles in reverse means you're not even truly sure you want it at all. Maybe at times you feel like it would just be easier if you didn't do it at all. And that might be a tough pill to swallow in December. This might hit you pretty hard. It might take you by surprise. It might take your partner by surprise. It may cause a pretty major change of plans. Now, there's a lot of major arcana in here for a 9-card spread. We have the Sun card, the Death card, the Hierophant, and those are not small, insignificant cards. They're not. They're cards of big change. They're cards of your soul, your journey, your purpose, your destiny. And it's about letting go of one thing and allowing another thing in. It's about starting to approach life from a different perspective. And I think it has less to do ultimately with your responsibility to others and more to do with what you want in your heart. And I think this is when this Page of Wands starts to slip in. Now, the second row next to it, I pulled the astrology cards, and I just think it's pretty symbolic that these 3 cards came out right next to this middle line. See, because you got the card Libra with I balance, and I do kind of see this as this Queen of Cups in reverse. See, I think this Queen of Cups might be somebody else that's kind of saying, yeah, but we have to do this together. Yeah, we have to move in, or no, I really need you. And maybe this person is in some kind of a financial struggle, or maybe you just feel guilty about a situation and then you feel as though you owe them or that you are obligated. And Libra is certainly an energy that says that you will attempt to bring balance to this situation. You will attempt to make it right. You will attempt to restore the love, the trust, and the faith. All good intentions. And then we have this 8th house, endings and beginnings, associated with this 2 of Pentacles. And that 2 of Pentacles in reverse, which I often, I just said equates to eternity, and which equates to that 8th house, which equates quite honestly to the energy of alchemy. And the 8th house is really about alchemy. It's about transmuting pain, transmuting loss, transmuting failure, transmuting a lack of resource or a resource that isn't yours, and making it concrete, making something from it, changing it for the better, turning lead into gold, turning rocks into diamonds. This is the opportunity that you're in this month, and you are probably feeling as though it's easier to just go with the flow, do the right things, this Libra energy. Libra doesn't want a confrontation. They don't want to fight. They don't want the drama. They just expect that everybody can kind of cooperate. Okay? But here's what really catches me. The 12th house escape card with the Sun in reverse. And see, Taurus, there's an indication here that somewhere deep down there is a sense of real unfulfillment. Not happiness, not wanting this. That 12th house can be very restrictive. Maybe this relationship or this situation feels immensely restrictive. And maybe it's something that you're starting to feel you can't avoid, the reality that you kind of want to just get away from it. And the 12th house can be a real tricky place. And when the Sun card is in reverse with the 4 of Pentacles in reverse, I'm just wondering if you don't hit a point within these eclipses where you just simply can't hide the unhappiness any longer. Now, one of the things that I've learned from an intense study through astrology and psychology is the intimate relationship between oppression and disaster. What happens when we keep this feeling so pent up within us and we don't share it, we don't talk about it, we don't tell other people? You know, this is kind of that lifelong karmic journey of somebody who maybe all of their life want to be an artist, or they want to have this kind of a relationship, or they want to have this kind of a life, and yet, I don't know, like, it's a wonderful life. You know, you refuse to see the gifts that are in front of you because you're so focused on all the things that you didn't get, all the things that didn't go your way. And it's not any fault of your own. You're not a bad person because you don't like the way that you feel right now and you don't like the situation you're in. You're not a bad person if you feel suffocated in a relationship and you just want to escape from it. You're not a bad person regardless of what you do, no matter what. So that's kind of the first step. And if you are someone that is being manipulated due to shame or regret or remorse, or trying to make something right or earn back respect or trust in some way, ultimately, you're kind of selling your soul. And this 12th house with Mars going direct is going to kind of be like this pressure on the gas pedal. All of the things that you want and you need and all of the things that you resent are going to kind of come out, come to the surface, and get released. Four of Pentacles in reverse. You can't hold it in anymore. You can't keep these things a secret. Now, as well, if you have done any underhanded thing, if you have cheated, if you have lied, if you have stolen in some way, regardless of what the circumstances were, there could be an element of it coming to the surface as well. Now, I don't know necessarily if it's somebody telling on you or you kind of getting caught. I actually feel as though this is Taurus kind of just exploding into their truth. Exploding into finally saying how you truly feel. Now, the two oracle cards that I pulled from you here is denial and self-esteem. This is all about these second house, 8th house transits. Listen, first you have the second house transit, and that's your self-esteem, that's your self-worth, and I think that gets a look over with the first eclipse. Now, the first eclipse is November 30th. So off the get-go, starting December, all of a sudden, the self-esteem starts to slip in. The self-esteem part of you that says, yeah, but don't I deserve a life that I really want? Don't I deserve adventure or love? And do I have to make commitments and make changes in my life that I don't really want to make? I think the self-esteem is more about how you allow other people to dictate what you want and desire and what you plan on doing with your future. And then that denial card comes in, and that's what I'm saying about this 12th house. The 12th house can be really, really tricky. 12th house is sometimes kind of a trap. Things can seem like it's a great idea. You're doing the right thing. This is going to fix everything. And then ultimately it ends up being very confusing and a complete disaster. And because this 8th house is next to the 12th house, guys, I can't tell you how ripe this energy is with these eclipses, how quickly things will change, how certain things will come to an end and new things will come just as quickly. It's not going to be like 2020 where we wait and wait and wait, or even the past 3 or 4 years, waiting for relationships to get on the right track, waiting for people to do their healing, waiting for circumstances to be better. And I think these eclipses come in Gemini and Sag, and it's like, well, I'm not waiting anymore. I think a lot of signs are going to start to take charge over their lives. I think a lot of signs are going to do some reckoning karmically, some cycles that have to be closed out, and that is very indicative of the 8th and 12th house. And I think it's very indicative of soul contracts being completed and new ones entering in. And the Libra card is, how are you going to do it while keeping everything kosher, without hurting anybody's feelings, without having any kind of confrontation? And I'm just not sure that that is truly possible. Now underneath this Queen of Cups in reverse is this Knight of Wands in reverse, and these both come out underneath this Death card. Guys, if you're in a relationship that seems to be in a cycle, 2 of Pentacles in reverse is a cycle. It's indicating that you want to end what seems like an eternal cycle. The cycle is that wherever this disconnect is, whether there's a feeling of coldness, of not being a nurturing, loving relationship, if it just doesn't feel connected, if there's a lack of gratitude or a lack of, you know, any kind of emotional attachment. And I think this is about consequences of actions, and I think it's about action and reaction. If somebody is manipulating you or withholding love or affection from you, or, you know, the Queen of Cups in reverse is very manipulative. She could be very cold, very mean, very unforgiving. She could bring up the past and make you feel bad about it all the time. And it may appear to work on the surface. You might be able to maintain your composure. But I think deep down subconsciously there's this Knight of Wands that just wants to run away. And this Knight of Wands is kind of like a horse that's stuck in its stall, kind of like kicking and wanting to get out and be free. And I feel like this Knight of Wands reverse, Page of Wands energy is your ultimate need for freedom. There's something within you kind of screaming at you to not do this. Don't make this mistake. Don't repeat this pattern. Don't allow this to keep going. Now, it doesn't mean that the relationship has to end, but obviously a cycle within it needs to end. There are obviously things that need to be healed, because if you guys keep going at it from these kind of energies, well, certainly no progress will ever be made. Now, I like how this Knight of Wands is right next to this Hierophant in reverse, because I think ultimately this Hierophant in reverse underneath the 2 of Pentacles in reverse is a lack of commitment, a lack of wanting to take this to the next level. Deep down inside, you may feel as though this is ultimately not right for you. This is not your path. This is not what you were meant to be, not who you were meant to be in this lifetime. And I see this Knight of Wands desperately trying to get himself out of this Hierophant in reverse. Maybe you're trying to actually not have to have the conversation, but Strength card assures me you will. You are going to have to face this head on. Because after all of this is a 10 of Wands, which means that regardless of how shitty it feels, regardless of how serious the consequences are, regardless of whether you have to hurt somebody's feelings or how it has to go down nonetheless. 10 of Wands, it's time to close things out. It's time to release burdens. You have to take a really hard look at what feels like a burden in your life. Are you waiting and waiting and waiting on somebody who's never, ever going to give you the love that you want and desire? Because here's your permission to let it go. If you're stuck in a job that you really don't like, this is your permission to walk away. If the pressure is on to move in with somebody or take your relationship to the next level, you do have a choice, and it might be easier. It might feel like less of a burden to let the whole thing go than to try to make it work. Now, your animal totem cards are the mouse and the elk, which tells me that regardless of how crazy these eclipses can feel, regardless of how you might feel like you're losing power, the change is for your own good. And it's going to be a process in some intense emotional and spiritual growth. You are going from the mouse to the elk. The mouse is very stuck trying to micromanage. It's a feeling of anxiety. Now, we could definitely have this anxiety feeling heightened during the early eclipse in December in Gemini, because it's very mercurial and because it's very active. And things might feel like, even your spider sense can feel like something big is about to happen, or you know, just lost in anxiety of all of the things that could happen, even though you don't truly have any control over it at all. The mouse card is indicative of you trying to have some sort of control, trying to control the outcome, and it's simply not worth it. Now, the elk energy, if you notice, there's kind of fire coming out of his antlers. There's a feeling of a spiritual awakening happening. There's a process of an awakening happening. And the awakening is, quite honestly, the Hierophant card upright. So I feel like once you get through this, once you face this, maybe you realize that the commitment that you want to make isn't even necessarily to another person. And I just don't think that you want to owe anybody anything. I think this is Taurus kind of saying, I got to do some things for me. I got to make some choices that are just really for my greater good. Ultimately, believe it or not, even if it feels like you have to disappoint people or crush people at the time, karmically, you kind of set everybody and all the things on the right trajectory, right? If you're not happy in this relationship and the other person seems to be holding on to it for dear life, obviously the universe wants them to kind of let go and allow themselves to trust in the beauty of the universe and find what's truly meant for them. You're not doing anybody a favor by fulfilling some sort of an obligation or some sort of a fantasy. And you're certainly not going to do anybody a favor by pretending to love and want something you don't really want at all. And I think the elk card is a reminder that you kind of have to do the right thing. You have to do the honorable thing. And that doesn't mean sacrificing your life and your happiness for someone else. It means telling the truth. It means being honest first with yourself second with your significant other or a boss or whoever friendship that you want to walk away from. But you have to be honest with the universe. When you lie to yourself, then things get real confused. The universe doesn't particularly understand what you want. And the longer you stay in that phase, the more you kind of experience the same old, same old, same old. The universe isn't going to change until you believe that you are capable of the change. Now your final oracle card, card number 25, round and round, also breaking down to a 7, which takes me back to this card of maybe you still wanting to push, to try to make everybody happy. This is kind of a card of endurance to me. So I want to read to you this card. I'm going to read you the one in regards to the relationship because that's what I'm picking up on most. But please know it doesn't have to be a love relationship. It doesn't even have to be a relationship. It could still be a job, a project, or whatever it is going on in your life, even a financial situation. Are you wondering, how did I get here again? Does something feel familiar right now in your dynamics with others? Maybe a little too familiar? Don't be surprised that you found yourself repeating an old story with the same sort of person who may not look similar, but who attracted you because you're easy acquaintance with his or her qualities. Your relationship is a mix of what is good and what is potentially challenging. You have been drawn to this person through the perfection of Spirit's plan for your evolution. You may have circled back to an accustomed spot, a familiar place, but that's fine as you get to do things again, only differently this time. For you learned something of great value since the last time around, and how will you choose to behave now that you are aware? Remain curious and stay out of the blame game. All right, Taurus, I'm going to leave it there. It was a pretty powerful reading. I do really hope that you have a really wonderful holiday season. I know with the lockdowns and everything, we may not all be able to really traditionally embrace the holidays the way that we normally would. But it's important to know that even if you can't physically be with your loved ones and you can't physically do all those traditional things, you can still feel it in your heart and feel connected. And remember to reach in and kind of grab that magic when you need it the most. All right, Taurus. Have a wonderful December. I'll be back mid-month with some exciting 2021 readings to look forward to. So take care and I'll see you soon. Bye.